My name is Barry Duncan. I studied business studies at RGIT as it was such a long time ago, and I graduated in 1987. Well, I think there's lots of outstanding moments during the time at RGU. I think one of the key things for me that sticks out is the placement year, because the placement year then gave you the opportunity to go out into the world and experience a working environment, which I think is a real big USP of the courses here at RGU. I think there are lots of other great memories. I met lots of great friends. I met my wife at RGU. We didn't get together until 2 years after we both graduated, but lots of great memories at RGU. But I think the placement year, from a kind of academic course point of view, was a standout for me. We're very lucky and maybe somewhat unique that the whole family has been involved with RGU. My wife and I both graduated in 1987. My two eldest sons graduated with a BA in management over the last few years, and our youngest son is currently in third year of sports science. So fingers crossed, and with some hard work from him, we'll have a full house in a couple of years of RGU graduates. Right through my time at RGU, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I graduated. It was really just during the placement year. I spent my placement year in the oil and gas industry, working in a company called Occidental. I worked there with some fantastic people, and during that placement year I realised that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back into oil and gas, and I wanted to go back to that organisation. I was lucky enough to be offered an opportunity to go back and work there in 1988, working in the same department as I did during my placement year, and that's where my career really started. So my role now at CNR International is Managing Director. The company is the international division of Canadian Natural Resources, a Canadian oil and gas company, one of the largest independent oil producers in Canada. We manage our international division from the city centre of Aberdeen. The international division covers our North Sea operations and also our operations offshore Africa. We have 300 people who work in that office, and we've been present in Aberdeen for over 20 years. The biggest challenge over the last 30 odd years that I've been working in oil and gas, that's a really difficult thing to say. I've been involved in so many challenges. I've been lucky to have been involved in so many projects. I've been empowered and given the opportunity to drive so many things and lead so many things, so many exciting things. I think one of the biggest lessons, and probably one of the biggest challenges I had, was during my time at a company called Amerada Hess, where I was asked to lead a team to redesign the finance function across all of Northwest Europe. And the big mistake I made there was coming up with the answer within 2 weeks and presenting it to the senior team, only to be told you're not here to come up with the answer, you're here to influence other people to help you come up with the answer. So I think one of the biggest lessons I learned was making sure that you bring other people with you, making sure that you talk to other people, making sure that you have other people buy into your ideas, and you engage with people to make sure they're bought into what you want to do. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I learned. But I've been so lucky over the last 35 years to be involved in so many great projects with so many great companies that I worked for. I think there's lots of good reasons why a business, if it can offer scholarship opportunities. I think just raising the profile of the business, I think putting something back into the local community. We have 9 core values, and one of those core values is to be an outstanding corporate citizen. So I think that's a really good way of us putting something back into the local communities in which we operate. It's something that we as a company are very passionate about, and I'm personally very passionate about it as well. We do that in a number of ways, through scholarship programs, through placement student programs, and also by supporting over 35 local charities year in, year out. And I think the scholarship programs are a way of us putting something back into the community. It's also a way of us remembering some employees who have worked with the company who sadly have passed away. All of our scholarship programs are memorial scholarship programs, so it gives us an opportunity to keep their memory alive and do some good in their memory. I think it's really important as an oil and gas industry and as a company that we attract fresh talent into our industry and into our company as well. I think the oil and gas industry has a very bright future, not only producing oil and gas, but also transitioning into other forms of energy, renewable forms of energy, and the skill set to do that will come from oil and gas. And therefore it's imperative that we continue to attract graduates into our industry and into our organisations. And I think the scholarship programs and the placement programs are a great way of doing that. I think one of the other reasons I do the scholarships and the placement programs is because I went through that myself. And I think that was the standout for me at RGU. I think it set me up to be career ready. You know, I think you go through the academic side of university, which is fantastic, but I think it doesn't really prepare you for what's out there in the big wide world and going into that arena. And I think the placement student was where that made a huge difference for me. So I think doing that and allowing some of the individuals who come into our organisations through our placement programmes or through our scholarship programme to become career ready, I think is another reason that I'm pretty passionate about doing that. I think fundamentally the scholarship programmes offers us the opportunity to attract talent into our organisation, to have a real good look at the individuals that work for us, and also for them to have a real good look at us to make sure that the culture is right, to make sure that the values of the company are right. It's almost like a year-long or a 4-year-long interview that we do with the scholars, a year-long interview with the placement students, and you can learn so much more about them and they can learn so much more about the organisation. I think one of the things that we didn't do particularly well up until 4 or 5 years ago was once students or scholars graduated was offering them opportunities to come back and work for the company. I think we've done more of that in the last 4 or 5 years, and we've actually hired, I think, around about 15 of the scholars or placement students that we've supported in the last 4 or 5 years into our organisation, and those individuals are all doing really well, really challenging the norm, really challenging our organisation, asking lots of questions that we haven't thought of, and I think they're all doing really well, and that's a really positive outcome as a result of the programmes that we run.